There's Scarlett, the winner of WCS North America. Congratulations. And now we continue with this matchup, IdrA versus ASD, where day 9, IdrA takes game number 1, and there is kind of a big deal on this matchup because the loser is out of the competition.
You know, I will say my favorite thing is really good matches. That is what I always pray for when I'm casting Marcus.
Absolutely.
But I'm not going to lie, I think myself and many others would be very excited to see IdrA make it to Championship Sunday after so many events without that level of performance. So in the top right, ladies and gentlemen, give a huge cheer for him if you'd like to see the comeback of the Kraken start tonight. It is EG's IdrA.
Release the Kraken. In the southwest position as the blue Terran from Team FXO. Give it up for ASD. You guys gonna like that movie?
I love that. It's so great, Marcus. I am a fan of popular cinema.
Yeah, plus Liam Neeson, like, he's just awesome in anything.
Has Liam Neeson ever not done an incredible job in things he's touched?
I don't know, man, but Taken 2, I'm so in.
Oh my God.
All right. Here we go. This is potentially the last game. IdrA technically already made it to Championship Sunday, but we're giving you a preview of what we're going to be seeing throughout tomorrow. So he needs to win this to continue his run tomorrow here for the MLG Summer Championship. Now, I mentioned earlier as well, and we'll talk a little bit about what we're seeing early on, that we did watch ASD kind of dismantle Select earlier in a TBT, but I didn't really get a chance to see ASD in some of his other matchups. So, you know, this is kind of a first for me as far as this TBC is concerned.
Yeah, and what we've seen out of him in the last game is honestly a nice build timing, a well-prepared build, but the wrong build. And, you know, a lot of people like to call this a build order loss. I like to call it a risky build. I mean, that's the truth. You don't want to be doing an opening that outright loses to something that's entirely possible coming out of your opponent. So I do think that on this map, ASD has a lot more comfort. It's a lot more standard of the map. We're going to be seeing Hellion with Reactor, followed it up by a Banshee.
And because it's such a wider opening here at the Natural, obviously the Hellions could be a great choice. Also, with such a large map and a lot of different avenues to take all around, having the Hellions out for that map control, especially if your opponent's relying on speedlings, can be very beneficial. The hatchery's up, the pool is done. We got our initial scouting lings out. Initial queens are coming. Of course, we'll be watching for what happens with IdrA's gas. Now, over on the other side, looks like ASD is going to pretty much be opening with something similar to what he did last time, although actually took both refineries in the last game, did he not?
Well, still has plenty of time to take that second refinery should he want to go Banshee. Otherwise, he's going to be building the third command center. I would again be a little surprised if he didn't go Banshee, because like literally every Terran player does that on this map. It's so good. The distances are gigantic. If you follow up with a Marine play, you're going to have to play passive, or your attack's just going to be weak. The distances are so big, and it looks like, yep, there goes the third command center, the Flam. But still, enough money to go Starport if he so desires.
Right. Now we got the double extractors going down a similar style at the Natural is what we saw from IdrA in the last game. Notice that creep tumor put over on the far west side inside the main of IdrA.
Oh, boss mode decision making. Yeah. I love this. You know, the only other Zerg player I really see do this is Dark Force from Germany. Just spreading creep in one's own main base. It's actually a great way to deal with drops because there's no nook or cranny that they can sneak into.
Right. Get full vision, and you can start spreading it down and eventually outside of the base.
Marcus, I suddenly have a pitter-patter of fear in my heart for ASD.
Why is that?
He's going for mega power mode. He's going double engineering bay with just 2 Hellions out, which means he's not going to be pressuring the Kraken. He's going to be going for a long-term macro game, and that is IdrA's strong point.
You're right. You're absolutely right. I mean, that's where he wants to be in every single game, and depending on what he does, if he has any methods of administering harassment. That, of course, could be beneficial to him because you're right. It will put his opponent back, ASD, in a more defensive mode, at least for a little while. With that third command center down as well. Now we're seeing the 2 racks follow up to that. Stim is well underway. And we do have +1 armor and weapons being researched upon the completion of those engineering bays. Now the 3rd hatchery is finished for EG.IdrA, and those 4 Hellions will make their way out and about. Queens do see them and passing by, and there might be an opportunity here. Nothing to block those, and the Lings are going to play a huge role in this. Nice job picking up one of the Hellions, and EG.IdrA isn't going to be able to get the second one. Speed finishes at a perfect time. A few drones roasted right there, but isn't enough. I don't know how many were killed.
Only 8 workers, a very unsuccessful attack by ASD. I mean, ASD, what does he have to defend? He has 4 Marines and he has 2 Hellions to do all the map control duties for the rest of the game. But what the heck? 2 Hellions march their way to death, and EG.IdrA punishes.
Oh, they just must have been rallied there, and they walked right in, only to realize, we don't have an invitation.
Oh my god.
They were kicked out.
Oh, those poor Hellions. 4th macro hatch going up for EG.IdrA before layer. EG.IdrA is powering up. You know, a few months ago, I would say that ASD is doing the exact correct play against EG.IdrA. Going for the macro mode, going for the long term. EG.IdrA was having a tendency to hit a strong phase of his game and then just attack until he was at a disadvantage suddenly. What we're seeing from EG.IdrA, the longer the game goes on, the more he gets ahead. That is the classic style that EG.IdrA was performing so well with, and I'm excited to see him really just go toe-to-toe with ASD. This is going to be a test of who has the better straight-up game.
I mean, looking at the creep spread right now, already going pretty much to the forward Xel'Naga tower for EG.IdrA, and then that means the halfway point, which becomes a crucial area for the Zerg player, especially if it does go to that late game. Now has 6 gases, and opens up a ton of opportunities here for EG.IdrA. The Baneling Nest has gone down, but I really want to take a look at what we've got here from ASD, establishing that 3rd, clearing it out. He did get that armory going, so 2-2 starts almost immediately, and there's that Spire coming out from EG.IdrA about a minute later than what he had in game number 1, or about 2 minutes later.
No 2-2 from EG.IdrA. It's kind of a surprising misstep. EG.IdrA really doesn't make that sort of misplay.
No, and he's actually got quite a bit of gas, but maybe he just wants to make sure he has enough mutas coming out. And there he at least starts +2 melee, always very helpful versus those Marines with the Banelings. And look at that clearing out, all that hard work of the Queen. An right back in her face.
This is really the main reason these Hellion Marine pushes are popular. They just deny creep spread, but it looks like EG.IdrA repositioning himself a little bit. Going to make sure that watchtower doesn't stay in Terran control. Going to continue to spread the creep up along the north alleyway as well, taking yet another base in bottom right. No +2 out of EG.IdrA yet. Could end up coming back to haunt him.
And this Overlord is going to spot what would be an attack coming in. The 1 Hellion will come into scout, sees that the hatchery is, of course, not yet completed, and so he will back off. In fact, loading back up and taking himself right back into the main. Love that. Or maybe he'll use it to shoot back around when the time is right. Either way.
You know, again, this is one of these. I'm assuming that you're going to be going Ling Infestor into Ultra. The Infestation Pit going down right now for EG.IdrA, and excellent timing for it, but Mulos are still coming out, so those, yeah, that's a nice play by ASD, now pulling back, and ASD really is going to the correct macro mode that he set himself up for, has missile turrets lining everything, building more barracks in the center. Look at this nice building placement from ASD in between his 2 expansions, just keeping tanks and units on the back.
And the mutas are going to come in at a spot where these Marines could do some serious damage. He avoids missile turret number 1, and actually that sends him in the right direction. Now we see suddenly the Marines moving, but he realized he might have an opportunity to stick those mutas in a place where there is no coverage from ASD. But I have to say, I mean, I'm looking at his natural, I'm looking at his 3rd. He's got doubled up missile turrets, Marines scattered around, and I don't know if EG.IdrA's going to be able to find any holes here.
You know, this is kind of an interesting concept that if you start 1-1 upgrades early, you're not going for a 1-1 timing push. because you sacrificed so much just to start them at that time. You're going for more of a 2-2 timing push. However, if you start those really, really early, then you're kind of going for a 3-3 timing push or a 2.5 timing push. You just still need the units, the brunt amount of units. And oh, IdrA spots the double medevac, and instant reaction from IdrA.
Yeah, instant reaction. Where are those mutas? Making the way over. If he's going to, well, where?
There's a medevac going for the main base. It looks like IdrA wants to deal with that initially.
Yeah, here come the mutas coming over. Just the mutas, the Marines, and the Queens. He takes out the medevac almost immediately. Queen steals stuff, but he cannot be losing those mutas. He didn't need to, but he does, unfortunately, actually doesn't, loses both Queens as well.
A little bit of a mishap by IdrA. Looked like he was in complete knowledge. He had an excellent position, but now there's 5 Marines in the main base.
There are 5 Marines in the main, and I mean, not much to take care of them other than the 2 spines that are there. More importantly, he's got to worry about this army that's moving across the middle of the map, now getting off of the creep. But we've got these 2-2 Marines with 3-3 on the way. Hive is done, so those +3 upgrades coming out for the Zerg player, but no forward expansion quite yet. And that means he's got a lot of distance to cover against this Terran who, well, looks like he might come right through the middle.
And IdrA swinging around the backside. Baneling's position at the front, and the tanks! Oh, caught off guard. Zerglings now streaming around to the backside. IdrA doing an excellent job delaying. Looks like he is now building his 7 infestors. He has the infrastructure to start getting a Greater Spire up, but it looks like IdrA is going to be favoring Ultra's tech at this time. He's just going to be low on options for a brief moment.
Yeah, for a little while, the Ultra Den finishing up here. And here we have more Banelings coming in, but that's actually a pretty terrible attack right there. Banelings morph in front of the Marines. There's the big swell of Zerglings coming in, and now the Banelings hitting that forward set of Marines. The tanks will get taken out. The Infestors! Land 0 Fungals, both go down. Another Infestor. One too far away from home. He wiggles his way back in, but this is going to be an open window for ASD to do some damage to one of these bases.
Yeah, I mean, IdrA was looking to be in an excellent condition. There's an excellent fungal. He needs to land some bigger fungals in this moment, though. Oh my god, this is such a dicey spot. Such odd miss-rallies, and amazingly, IdrA seems to have repelled the attack.
Yeah, he does, but we have more Marines and 2 more tanks heading on in. IdrA's got to deal with that. There's the scan to identify where this army is. Needs to bring it back. Really working on those Zerglings. Hasn't been able to bring any Ultras out quite yet. And moves forward. Good fungal would set him up here. That base still seems to be okay, but he also doesn't want to spread himself too thin, and now they're going after that hatchery.
And the Spine Crawler's not in a good enough position. The Corruptor's trying to dart up. IdrA sending everything forward. Doesn't have the Broodlords in the mixture yet. A good spread from ASD, but it's not in time. IdrA loses the bottom right expansion. Broodlords en route.
Oh, the Broodlords. He needs to get a fungal up immediately. They're going after the morphing in Broods.
Oh,
that is not good. No cancellation on those either. And I feel like this all kind of started. There it is. GG. I feel like that all just kind of started when that initial medevac made its way into the main. The mutas were getting taken out. The Marines were left inside.
Yeah.
And then when that battle happened in the middle, all the Lings swung around to that 5th. The Banelings, unfortunately, went right into those tanks.
Yeah, there was an odd bit of disorganization out of IdrA in that final battle, but, you know, it's one of those things that goes to show that the Mutalist Ling style is getting outdated for a reason. Those Infestors just needed to be there once that huge battle began. It was just Lings up against that force, and it's that slight lack of patience that's been costing IdrA games. He plays such a careful, slow, deliberate style that you can't get impatient or you throw away your edge.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get started immediately with game number 3, guys. We're jumping right into Cloud Kingdom, but let's hear it. The last game of the evening. To IdrA to quit. Let's hear it, you guys. The last game of the evening, day 2, has been amazing. We've seen several extended series. We saw the most epic ZVZ ever. Give it up for IdrA and ASD.
Let's hear it, ladies and gentlemen. Are you ready for the last match of the night? spawning in the top right position. One of the most successful MLG participants of all time, trying to make a comeback. It's EG.IdrA!
And in the southwest position as the blue Terran from Team FXO. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for ASD. Tied 1-1. Obviously, the winner moves on. The loser, unfortunately, no longer in the MLG Summer Championship. And there's not really a name in this championship bracket that you can pick out that isn't going to be a threat to everyone else. Obviously, there's a few that people are like, that guy could win, that guy could win. But everyone is a major threat in this competition. No one can be taken lightly.
Especially going into Championship Sunday, it's such an intimidating feeling knowing that even if you win, you're going to be in a bunch of hard-fought battles. I'm even thinking about Liquid Taja, who every single one of his series has been decided by a single game. He's gone to the final match in every single series he's played at the Summer Championship. That is how potent the competition is. IdrA now scouting out with the 2 drones, and it looks like ASD going for a command center first. That's going to be an incredible peace of mind for IdrA. And this is a map where I really do not like Mutalist to play. Ling Infester counterattacking a lot stronger.
I mean, I agree, and let's talk about some of the reasons why. Specifically because IdrA has gone mutas in both of the games. Now, I would venture to guess that one of the reasons is the way that the bases are positioned. By the time the Terran gets to third base, attacking into the back of the main and then trying to escape through the third, it's a really scary thing. I mean, we've seen flocks of Mutapacks get completely devastated in that regard. But I imagine you've got some other reasons why you don't particularly like the Mutaplex.
You know, it all comes down to shapes, Marcus, in particular the triangle. Essentially, if you draw a convex polygon around your base, if you just draw a shape around your base, how many faces are exposed? Well, you can just look at ASD's third base and his second base, and you see there's a triangle. 2 of those faces are the boundary of the map. There's only one edge that's actually in the middle, and that's the vulnerable edge where Mutalist can harass. Not very good. On, is IdrA playing Zerg versus Protoss? Look at how early. This is an excellent greedy play. This is fantastic.
Yeah, he did, and I mean, he also was, didn't build that Overlord. Thought he just maybe missed one, but it looked like he just wanted to get that third hatch down rather quickly. Now, is ASD going to have the sense to see what he sees now and go, I better just go check that third? Well, I think the answer to that is yes.
Yeah, that's what a responsible player does. He did see the wiggliness on the hatches, but spots the third base. ASD knows what's up. And again, this is a map where the Hellion Banshee play is a standard. It's where it's very strong, but ASD seems to be recoiling from that again and again and again. And I'm a little confused as to why. We've seen him show quite a bit of weakness in the early game. Sure, when he gets to the late game, he's comfortable, but every Terran's comfortable when they have 3-3 Marines, Marcus.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to watch for a few key things here from IdrA. If he gets his gases at the natural, when he gets those gases, there we see the barracks moving over, dropping down the reactor, and of course the factory right behind it. One gas did go down for ASD.
I don't like this play from ASD. He's going for the third command center. This is another way of saying, I want to be passive. And he's now knows that he's up against a build that hopes Terran's going to be passive. I mean, IdrA is setting himself up nicely, but again, we did see ASD brilliantly exploit the passivity of IdrA last game by getting the early double engineering bay. Could work on this map, but there's a ton of counterattack paths.
There are quite a few around behind the third, all the way around to the fourth north of the natural. Certainly a lot of different paths that can be taken, and having control of those towers will make it that much more important. But here we have the tech lab going down on the barracks. The third CC is going up, so we're going to have 2 additional. Nope, there's the double engineering bay, and he's going to go with that build very similar to what he deployed in game number 2.
A gentleman's agreement. They're going to turn around, and rather than take 10 paces, they're going to take 20 minutes of paces before turning around and firing.
Which is okay.
which is fine with us. We'll be here. We'll be casting for the next 20 minutes.
Whoever is the sniper, whoever can shoot the farthest, I guess. But the double evolution chamber does come down. Note that it's nowhere near that natural. So whether or not he determines that he does not need that extra defense versus the Hellions, there is no spine crawler down at the third. There are the double queens, but he's definitely going to have to use that and a little bit more to try to defend this location. And you know, with that third, there a spine crawler goes down at the natural, but still, maybe a spine at the third seems like it would be prudent considering that he just got his gas, his speed is getting close to finish up. And here we have four.
Gosh. Yes. Greed versus greed, Marcus. I mean, both players trying to get away with as little defense as possible, and now ASD's moving up to that third base, and he's lined him up.
Yep, 4 Hellions going in. Again, there's really nothing there to defend other than those few slow Zerglings and the Queens. But speed is going to be done here momentarily. Those Hellions are not going to necessarily press their luck. 2 workers were killed with that Hellion attack. There's the spine crawler about to finish up at the third.
Man, EG.IdrA is just playing super thin on the defense, but a good read. He must have been keeping a keen eye on that Overlord at the front to see that there's only 4 Hellions that have been made thus far for the Terran player.
And third is going to move over right away. There's not a very large ground army at all. I mean, right now the Marine production is shot up to about 5 per cycle, but dropping that third, I mean, I suppose there's not a massive threat, and based off of what we can see from the production tab, there's not going to be one anytime soon, but it does seem a bit risky to take that with the amount of ground units that he has. However, he's going for it anyway because he's got control with these Hellions, and the creep spread continues, but the infestation pit has gone down. Upgrades now getting started, which is or well underway, but they didn't go down right away when those Evo chambers did.
You know, I do like the choice to go for Infestation Pit. Mutalisk is the control play. You get a lot of comfort, you get a lot of vision, but Infester is the muscle play. It allows you to get to the hive tech faster. It allows you to deal with those pushes more directly. And it's going to be a tense macro battle. I would even like to see EG.IdrA throw down another macro hatch in his main base. Go for the 5 hatch on 3 base. Mega Ling Infester build. You can easily pull it off.
Now, Essential Fever Hooks is finishing up. Looks like both of those Hellions are going to get taken out. This pack of Lings is going to be very proud of itself as the last one gets nipped down. 23 points of health. It will manage to slip away. And I want to take a quick look at the vision of EG.IdrA here. Still has no idea about that third base. You can see ASD setting up a thoughtful wall here with a bunker and 3 supply depots as well. But obviously still some holes here for Lings to try to exploit, but it's ASD who's going to be going for an attack just before 2-2 and combat shield finishes. He at least could clear out some tumors, maybe try to take over this tower here, but he has got to be careful. The Banelings are out, speed is done. Pretty soon the Infestor is going to be hitting the field.
EG.IdrA needs to start controlling his own forward watchtower, and he's just going to march right up onto this high ground. And look at this nice wedge that we see out of ASD with the pick up. Manages to sneak out after doing some damage.
Oh, and he's going to go down. He's going to check it with this Ling, and there's not much there. There's the one tank. Tank does not have siege mode yet. It's still seconds away from finishing up. This would be a prime opportunity, but actually with ASD, the reinforcements he has back at home, he's going to be able to defend that no problem. Unloads, though, definitely expected it to come. It just didn't. Northwest hatchery has also been thrown down.
You know, this is a real display of confidence from both players. Both players are essentially saying, I have better late game. Look at EG.IdrA's natural expansion. He already has the Spore and the 2 spines propped up there. You don't really need to spend that money there that early, but again, EG.IdRA saying, as long as you don't harass me, I'm going to win, because I have the better late game. And EG.IdRA's not yet having his hive up. I mean, probably shouldn't use the word yet because it still is 13 minutes and he's close to having his hive up.
There's a drop intercepted there at the north. That the northwest expansion has been spotted. It will load back up after 4 of the Lings do die. And here we have a small group caught in the middle. Infestors are out. They can get rid of these medevacs. They actually grabbed the wrong one. Has nothing in it, but it's still a small victory here for the Zerg player. Queen will clean that up. But taking another base And you're absolutely right. Oh, into the main.
Oh, IdrA doesn't have anything there to be able to deal with it. He's going to have to bring a lot of his units back, and ASD is going to answer by sending units up to the top side. Wow, ASD misclicks, loses it.
And that northwest base is absolutely going to be in a lot of trouble unless ASD decides to just cut through the middle to the third. I thought for certain he was going up to that northwest, but he does have that drop that can take care of business. Doesn't have to utilize his whole army and not sieged up. Here comes all these units.
IdrA not engaging at the best angle. He's not. His infestors are miles behind. IdrA needs to start getting those injects landed. He's missing injects in his main. He's missing injects at his expansions, but he's just now seized control up that center side.
Oh, there's the bungles thrown down. He does manage to pick up. Oh, he does kill one of the tanks. A siege up. Oh, and nothing to be able to defend these infestors. That single marine. It's like, I am a hero.
Another drop up at top side. IdrA answers by sending a swarm of Zerglings. And now IdrA has to keep injecting on his main hatches. He's not injecting any larvae. He's trying to target fire, and it looks like, again, ASD is going to lose another medevac, but is going to be able to establish a push down at the right base.
He really needs some banelings here. There we get the Morphin, but is it too little too late? Tank siege up on the high ground. This base is most certainly going to go down, and that puts his opponent back on 3 bases while ASD is getting his 4th up and running. How can he actually go in for this attack? Bring Lings around the back. We see chitinous plating, 5 ultras on their way, and 3-3 is being finished, but losing this hatchery, and then the pickup for the drop into the natural. As you mentioned, the Spore Crawler is there.
Looks like Queen also there to join, do a little bit of damage. Absolutely no attention being paid by ASD. He's distracted elsewhere in mid-map. We see the infestors trying to dart forward, and he spots them immediately, and now IdrA decides that this is a good opportunity to move in. He gets some decent fungal growth, but his Ultralists are not in the mix yet. Now they're starting to join on in, but the infestor count has been decimated by ASD. IdrA is in a really tough spot.
Oh, losing quite a few infestors in that engagement. Partially positioned, partially controlled. Was trying to get those fungals consistently on the ramp, but unable to do so. And now, what is the plan going to be for IdrA, trying to get that 4th base back up using the northwest as the spot, because now he can work this positioning by the Terran a little bit. Looks like he's going to set up behind the 4th, but I mean, oh, hold on. This space is under fire. Again, these drops continuing to do some damage from ASD.
Oh gosh, it looks like IdrA is starting to just abandon defense and is going to start pushing everything into this play. He's darting forward. He's going to charge the tank line. I don't know how much I like this. And a GG from IdrA. A frustrated IdrA again. Taps out of a game that wasn't quite over yet.
No, I mean, losing the infestors in the middle, that was, there was a few moments where they weren't necessarily where they need to be positionally. That first attack in the middle, infestors were kind of up to the north, and then a few got clobbed in there right as tank sieged up and did fall. And IdrA is going to go out 2-1 to ASD from FXO.
Well, I'll be up here now giving a couple of the results from the other matches that have gone on. Chef, in his first Championship Sunday game, 2-0 against Huangsin, following it up 2-0 against Rain. So Chef will be playing tomorrow. Also, Marine King Prime winning his 2 matches. Grubby currently up 1-0 against Gosu user Huck, 1-1 with Hawk. QXC and Caliber. QXC 1-0 versus Caliber. Ryung and Goody just getting started.
So some great matches to be kicking us off tomorrow during Day 3, Championship Sunday. We are going to take a quick commercial, and when we come back, it is the Speed Stick Power Play of the day. What made the cut? We're going to find out when we return. Don't go away.